Hey all, it's Elmo with the Cat's Pajamas, and today I want to show you how to make this inner tunnel card. We'll be using our Village Snowglobe Duo Die. I think it's perfect for this card. To start this card, we'll need a piece of white cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 11 inches. Turn this cardstock long ways and score at 1/2 inch, 5 1/2 inches, and 6 inches. Fold and crease really well. Now if you've done it correctly, it should look like an open-sided box when you turn it to the side. Place the open part of the box up with a small flap facing you. I thought the Village Snowglobe Duo Die would be perfect for this card. It's actually 2 dies, so we're going to take the outer die and position it on the front of the box. I'll use a little bit of tape to hold the die in place, and I'll run it through the die cut machine. Now we'll need the middle layer of the card. Take a second piece of cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, with just a sliver off the long and short side of the cardstock. Score this piece of cardstock at 1/4 inch at each of the shorter sides, and then crease. Place underneath the snow globe that we just cut and line up the folds on both pieces of cardstock. Now once you've got that done, position the inside of the snow globe and secure that with tape and run that through the die cut machine. Now it's just a matter of weeding the die cut. You'll notice that there are 3 trees in the sky, and I'm not sure if I'll use them, but I'll save them just in case. I love how this village looks now that it's weeded. It looks really lacy. Now I wanted to give even more dimension and some color to the card, so I'm going to stencil some clouds on the inner part of the card. I'll be using the great Outdoors Stencil to make the clouds. This stencil has so many great cutouts, including the dots in the center of the stencil, but I don't want them to be stenciled, so I'm blocking out the top rows of dots. I'm also going to be using our big, beautiful blending brush. To use it, just remove it from its carrying case and set the case aside. For the clouds, I'm using Marvy Caribbean Blue dye ink. Just open the ink and rub the brush on the ink pad in a circular motion to pick up the ink. Lay down the stencil and, in a circular motion, blend up from the stencil. When you have one row down, move the stencil down or turn the stencil over and begin again, brushing from the stencil to the cardstock. Try and keep the application of the ink in a small area above the stencil, so you're leaving some white space, and that's going to help define the clouds. Keep moving the stencil down to get more clouds. I'm just going to check right here to see if I need more clouds, and I think I need one more layer. Now, I'll just clean the brush off by rubbing the ink off on a spare piece of paper until the paper is clean. The bristles of the brush are really dense and soft, so you can get up right to the edge of the stencil for really sharper edges. I just love this brush. Now I want to add even more dimension by adding a die cut to the village from the Hill and Dale border die. So I cut this border die out, and I'm just going to cover over part of the village with the die cut. And I cut another one of the die cuts, and I'm going to place that on the back side of the snow globe. More adhesive. I like the way that looks. Now let's assemble. Use a strong adhesive like double-sided tape or glue on the small flaps of the inner paper with the village. I like to run the adhesive right next to the crease so it gives me a nice clean fold. Now place the inner paper with the village right on top of the clouds and remove the backing from the tape and line up the bottom of the inner paper with the top crease of the outer card. Make sure the edges of the inner card are straight and fold the front of the card over and burnish well. Now if you look at the card from the side, you can see the layers forming. That's what we want. Now open the insert up and fold back along the crease. I like to give the crease a good burnish. Now fold along the bottom crease and burnish. Now remove the back from the top tape and fold the front of the snow globe card over along the bottom crease that we just folded. And the top of each of the layers should now line up. Now press to attach. Now let's do the card base. Take a piece of 4 1/4 by 10 1/2 inch heavy cardstock and score it 5 1/2 inches. After you fold the card, you'll notice that one side is shorter. That side will be the back of the card. Now for the front of the card, I'm using this Happy Holidays die, and I want the die cut to be raised up. So rather than cut up itsy bitsy pieces of foam, I've used the die to cut 3 Happy Holidays from red cardstock and placed glue on one and layered a second on top of that. And then I repeated that with the third. It's a great way to get dimension on your sayings. Now I want to add a bit of whimsy to this card, so I'm going to be using stamps from our Sketchy Santa stamp set. I think it'd be really cute with a Santa right above the Happy Holidays. But I really want the fine lines of the Santa to show up, so I'm using VersaFine Claire in Nocturne. It stamps really fine and detailed images, and I can use it with watercolors or water-based ink. Now I recently purchased a set of brush markers from Arteza, so I thought I'd try them out on this card since I can get into those little nooks and crannies with the brush. After I color the Santa up, I'm going to add the Happy Holidays. To mimic the Santa, I'll add shadows to the base of the Happy Holidays. Super cute and a very clean and simple card. Now I'm going to let that dry a bit before I work on the inside. Now that the front is dry, it's time to add the pop-up to the base of the card. Open the card and place adhesive on the inner back of the base. That's the shorter side of the card. I like a lot of adhesive because it'll be holding the card mechanism and it'll be under a lot of stress. Now remove the adhesive backing and line up the top of the back flap of the pop-up insert with the crease on the card base and carefully press the flap into the adhesive. If the bases of the card line up, you know you're golden. Finally, add adhesive to the remaining flap on the inner card and line it up to the crease on the base card and fold the card closed. Looks pretty good, right? Wait till I add the Santas. I've stamped and colored up the rest of the Santas, and I'm just trying to figure out which one I like best. I think the skiing one for sure. I'm not so sure about the others. I really want the village to be the star, so I think I'll just leave the skiing Santa by himself and add a couple of snowflakes. And I'll stamp up a sentiment from the same set. A little snowflake right in the corner. And color up that little O heart. So cute. Now as a finishing touch, some Holeless Sequins. These are the clear holographic sequins. They kind of have a blue tinge to them when they catch the light. I think they're really pretty. And then some on the front. And I like playing my sequins this way, just dots where I want them to go. I just use my gem wand and put the sequins where I want them to go. And I think that's it. I love the laciness of the village die, especially with these cute little sketchy Santas. I hope you give our tunnel card using the Snowglobe Duo Die a try. Have a great day!